We're here Saturday, just starting off. It's sort of odd to think that we can have a convention devoted strictly to our company, but somebody pulled it off here.
Yeah, yesterday was a fun day. It worked out well. I like it because it's a really intimate environment.
Yeah.
And I don't think people are going to realize how many people are going to actually be able to do things like that. So, what do you think? Do you think they're going to do it again next year?
Here'd be my guess is that somebody's going to sort of do the autopsy at the end of this, see how it worked, how it didn't work, and then whether, if it worked, how do we improve upon it next year, right? I mean, again, we may find that it's because it is intimate, it may be really built for a 2-day show, not a 3-day show, right? And then that way you get more people coming on those 2 days. You can do a lot more variety. I don't know, I'm making it up right now, but somebody's going to walk through all the process and go, hey, here's what we got over 3 days, here's the cost, here's how we can sort of keep it going. Maybe I don't see this as a yearly thing, right? I mean, we haven't done this for 20 years,
right.
So I don't know that we'll wait another full 20, but I'm sure that we'll have a conversation when it's all said and done and see how it works.
Awesome. And as far as like baseball, you got some really prized objects.
Sure.
What's your favorite?
Of the balls I've got?
Of all your baseball sporting memorabilia, what's your...
Wow. Because I collect a lot of stuff, right? So probably, I would say...
At the Image Expo.
You know what? 1971, Wayne Simpson, Kellogg's, PSA 10 card. And the reason I say it is because it's a one-of-a-kind. There's no other PSA 10 of Wayne Simpson #1 because there were these 3D cards that came out of the cereal boxes. And as you might imagine, most kids, when they collected them, they put them in order from like 1 to 75. So the number 1 and the 75 were always getting ruined because they had rubber bands and stuff like that. So all the other ones in between are a little bit easy to find, but that Simpson #1, that's a tough card. So I got the only one. I got the only one in the country.
What baseball memorabilia were you super excited to get, and then like in hindsight now, you don't even compare? Like you're most disappointed in that player?
The player? Yeah.
Or
Well, you know what?
Or you're disappointed that they didn't like pan out?
No, well, you know what? I was never a speculator,
Uh-huh.
right? So I was never a guy going, oh, I'm going to buy a bunch of Ellis Burks rookie cards, stack them to the top, and then cross my fingers and hope that they come. I always sort of waited till guys had sort of proven themselves. Or what happened was that I sort of had a fondness for certain guys. Like when I was a kid in '71, there was a running back for the Packers, John Brockington. He came right into the league, and he won the rushing title. And I went, wow, rookie. So he became my favorite NFL player of all time. He still is, right? He still is to this day. The next year he gets 1,000 yards. First player in the history to get 1,000 yards 2 years in a row. The third year he wins the title again rushing, beats Calvin Hill by 2 yards. Breaks his own record. First guy ever in the history to do it 3 years, right? I'm going, wow. Now, 3 years later, he's out of the league, but John Brockington still had that soft spot for me. I actually, years later, I met him at the San Diego Summit. He showed up, he lived in San Diego. He's like, I hear you like me, and he brought me a signed jersey. It's the coolest thing. Now, most people don't know who John Brockington is. Same thing in baseball. There's a guy that played a couple of years for the Cleveland Indians. His first 2 years were 73, 74, a guy named Charlie Spike. I'm a kid. Anybody that plays baseball, the last name is Spikes. Cool, but he had like these cool pork chop sideburns. He just looked badass in his baseball card. So I still go on eBay, and I'm always, I'll buy like Brockington or Charlie Spike stuff that nobody wants. And to me, it's like worth $1 million to me. And people, and I get it for $2.55. So I don't care that it didn't pan out because it sort of reminds me of my childhood youth.
I've been talking about this with my friends. My friends are huge baseball fans. I'm really the only comic book guy. I keep throwing out this thing and they make fun of me because it's a comic reference. When do you think like metahumans are gonna like influence like baseball? Because kids are now getting like Tommy John surgery when they're 17. So when is that gonna be like steroid asterisk, and then there's gonna be like
no. They've done reports. The parents, in a bizarre way, are almost intentionally injuring their kids early.
Right.
Because the Tommy John surgery is so good now that when people are rehabbing it properly, they're coming back and they're actually throwing harder.
Yeah.
Right? Which is why would you want to hurt your kid? Because your kid now throws 4 miles an hour faster. That might actually get them a big contract or the scholarship. So it's this weird thing. They're going, kid, please wreck your arm so we can go get surgery so you can become superhuman.
Right. I mean, it's one of those things. It's like where's it going to stop? Like how do they? They haven't come up with the technology yet, but I mean, we're going to hit a point. It'll be interesting to see how.
Well, it's there. Right now, like I said, right there are dozens of major leaguers that are in the league. They came back from Tommy John surgery. When I was a kid, before the Tommy John surgery, you had that injury, you were done. You were done. Rotator cuff injury, you were done. And now all of a sudden they can fix these guys, come back, like here with Tommy John. In some cases, better, $6 million man, Lee Majors. They're coming back stronger, bigger, better than before. And they go on and pitch another 12, 14 years in the big league.
And what is your opinion of like the steroid era? What do you got?
I've got a job.
I don't get worked up over it, right? Because again, if you look at every sort of era, I'm sure there was sort of kind of the equivalent thereof of what was there.
Like the greenies and
right. And so I don't really understand to some extent why there hasn't been one player just turn to the camera and say, look at. Since I was 17, I have been taught that my job is to beat the guy on the field that I'm playing against that day. He's the bad guy, I'm the good guy, and my job is to beat his brains out. I now play for you with the Oakland A's, and although in hindsight I understand I shouldn't have been doing this, the only reason I was taking it was because for you Oakland A's fan, I was just trying to beat the bad guy every day, any way I could. And I think the fans would sort of go, yeah, I would have done the same thing, right? So I mean, you're just trying to go. I'm here to just beat him up, not to. I mean, yes, you're elevating your stats and get maybe a better contract or something like that. But at its core, you just want to pound the enemy today. So any edge I can get to pound the enemy, I'm going to do it because that's how we've just been trained, especially these elite guys, probably since they were 9 years old. And I think the American public would get that. But instead they try to skirt around it and give all these sort of other ones that deny it. Instead of going, no, I did it, but I was doing it for me and for you. We wanted to beat those damn Yankees.
Okay, back to hockey. Who do you got going to the Stanley Cup Finals? What do you think is going to be?
Wow. You know what? Let's put the Rangers in there just because it'd be good for hockey. Again, especially in America. Although Philadelphia's having a much better year. And then because I'm Canadian, I'm gonna have to put a Canadian team. We're gonna have to get Vancouver back, and they're gonna have to exonerate themselves because they blew the cup last. And so we'll get the Canucks. We'll get the Canucks back in there, and then everybody will put the cars and they'll unburn the cars, and we'll go back.
I'm liking on the goalies name. Do you think they can win a cup with the longest?
You know what? He's taken it to a very high level. They just need to get him to, again, look at he's 10 minutes away from the Stanley Cup last year. So can he get him that far? Absolutely.
And then the last question. Spider-Man again, you and Marvel have a report that can happen.
I doubt it. It's not, again, it's not that I don't have a rapport with Marvel. It's not that I don't like the people of Marvel. It's just sort of mentally for me, drawing Spider-Man for me was the equivalent to going to high school. Todd, did you like going to high school? Loved it. Did you enjoy your time there? Yeah. Did you have great memories of it? Yeah. So you ever going back to high school? No, that was high school like yesterday. I'm always looking forward. So
what's forward for you? What do you got?
Just opportunity, looking for opportunity between the toys and the video games and movies and animation, music videos, all the business stuff we do, pop culture. there's always an opportunity to sort of, right? I mean, a year ago, I wouldn't have been standing there going, we're doing Swan t-shirts with famous, right? So things just pop up, and you just sort of open doors, and all of a sudden they lead to another door.